And it'll be the most important day and the most important vote in the history of our country, because we're losing our country. I mean, somebody I heard the other day, pretty smart person, and you think about it, and it could be true. They said, if we don't win this election, there may never be another election in this country. It could happen. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela was the most prosperous country, and now you take a look. And can you believe these stupid people are buying oil from Venezuela? From Venezuela, who was our enemy? They foreclosed on his airplane, a crappy old airplane. But they're giving him billions of dollars for oil. It's not oil, it's tar. It's the worst. And you know, for the environmentalists, you know where they cure the tar? Where they take the tar and they make it into beautiful oil? Houston, Texas, and it all goes flying up in the air. You ought to look into that one for all of you wonderful people that talk about the environment like I do, like many of the people in this room do. But they do it. The oil refinery it's the only one that can do it, because it literally is tar. It's not good stuff. We have the best stuff, and we have the most. We have more liquid gold under our feet, and we're buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need it at all. It's crazy. These people are crazy. What a nice-looking man. Who is that? Oh, that's Trump. What a wonderful-looking person. I'm just checking out the hairstyle as I'm talking. I don't know. No, I'm checking, I'm talking, I'm looking up, I'm saying, I don't love it. Yeah, everyone don't love it. What the hell can you do? There's nothing I can do about it, right? We're stuck with it. Kamala Harris is reportedly giving a speech in Pittsburgh. You know, her speeches are very short. About her plan to, quote, build wealth. She doesn't know anything about building wealth. But she's been in office for 3.5 years. She's saying what she's going to do if she becomes president. But she's been there almost 4 years. She hasn't done anything except destroy our country with millions of people that shouldn't be here. And inflation. And inflation. What the damage that Sleepy Joe, you know, I'm tending to call him Sleepy Joe lately because I called him Crooked Joe. But now he's not like, is he, who's our president? We don't even have, do we have a president? Why doesn't he leave? Why doesn't he leave? Now think of it. Think of it. I call him Crooked Joe. That was very effective. It got him out of the race. I mean, guess what? No, we had a debate, and he didn't do too well in that debate. And they came to him and they said, you're down 21 points and you're going to lose. This can only happen to me. So I end up with somebody new. But here's the thing. All I have to do is expose her for what she is. She's a communist, okay? She's a communist. And this country is not ready for a communist, and hopefully never will be, because that doesn't work. Kamala talks about all these things that she's going to do, but she's been here. Think of it. She's been here for almost 4 years, and she's not done anything. I will do this. I will do that. I will do that. What the hell? She could do them today. You know, they talk about the border. Oh, we have a plan for the border. I didn't have any help. I had a very hostile Congress. And what I did is I said, close the border to the Border Patrol. They're great. And the border was closed. We had the safest border in the history of our country. And that border was a mess. You know, in 2016, I think I won maybe because of the border. The border was very bad. And in 2020, I couldn't talk about the border because there was no problem. My people, my geniuses back there, they all said, sir, you can't really talk about the border. There's no problem. I said, well, I want to at least talk about it. I fix it. They said, people don't care, sir. They don't care. So I didn't talk about the border, but we did get millions of more votes. If you remember 2020, we got millions more votes. Millions. Look at that guy with a rug on over there. Look at him. Look at that handsome guy. You look good. He looks good. But we got millions more votes. But I'll tell you what, and we've been all over Pennsylvania today. 2016 or 2020, we never had the enthusiasm that we have right now. Look at this. Look at And the reason is because they're so bad. You know, we never had anything to compare it to. They're so bad. 4 years of destroying our country. We don't have a great country anymore. Remember, I had CAG, Keep America Great. But I couldn't use it because I said America's not great. I hate to say it, but America soon will be greater than ever before. You watch. We got to win the election. We got to win the election. And I can't call her Harris either. You know, Harris, when I say Harris, nobody knows. Does that make sense? I say, and when Harris, everyone says, who's Harris? Nobody knows this person. No, they don't know her by the name Harris. They know her Kamala. It's strange. The name Harris. And when Harris, and people say, who is that Harris? Nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. Do you know that? Lee, nobody knows. You're a good lawyer. Maybe we have to change your name. You know, but nobody knows a nice name, Harris. I know some people named Harris. They're nice people. She happens to be not a nice person. She happens to be a person that's destroyed everything she's ever touched. Kamala's ruinous economic policies have already cost the typical household $29,000 through rampant inflation. $29,000 per household. She's a one-woman economic wrecking ball, and if she gets 4 more years, her radical agenda will smash the economy into rubble and grind your financial situation right into the dust. You can't have it. You can't have it. We've had it. We've had it. The guy is incompetent, and she's incompetent also. She had the other interview with the other guy, who was a nice guy, I think, from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania, and he was a nice guy who was asking her all these. They don't take like I do. Anybody who wants to go. What the hell difference does it make? They have, and how dishonest was ABC? It was 3-on-1. How about this David Muir and the other woman I never heard of? I don't know. How the hell did she get there? I never heard of her. But David Muir, when I say crime numbers are rising, he interrupts me, kept interrupting. And he said, we have it by fact that crime numbers are going down. I said, anybody that thinks crime is going down is a serious brain problem. And then it got announced the following day that Trump was right, that crime was up 45%. How about them? And I thought she was terrible in the debate. She didn't answer any questions. All she did is tell lies. Bloodbath. She talked about Charlottesville. All these things were all, you know, I hate the word debunked, but it says it. They were all debunked, every one of them. And people said it. Well, the radical left didn't say it, but they've all been fully debunked. All she did was tell lies. But when it came time to ask a question like, what are you going to do about inflation? What are you going to do about keeping taxes low? She was unable to even talk. But the one on Oprah was the worst one, in my opinion. Oprah wanted to climb under the table. It was so embarrassing. She couldn't answer the simplest question. So vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your net worth will skyrocket, your energy costs and grocery prices will come tumbling down, and we will bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. The American dream. We don't talk about the American dream anymore, you know that? Mr. Congressman, what a great congressman. I'm going to introduce you guys, but what a good warrior you are. Thank you. We don't talk about the American dream, right? Anymore. We used to talk about it all the time. Today, they don't talk about it. Don't lose hope. We have to have hope. Don't lose hope. Our country's an embarrassment. The whole world is laughing at us. We're going to be stronger. They weren't laughing at us 4 years ago. They were not unhappy to see me head off. And they said, thank goodness we'll never have to see him or deal with him again. You know, China had to pay $472 billion in tariffs. No other president took in 10 cents from China. Not 10 cents. No president took in 10 cents. And remember this, and I just say this, if you look at Ukraine and Russia, but you know they say Russia. I stopped the Russian pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it until I came along. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job they've ever done. I stopped it cold. When Biden came in, he let them build, but he killed our Keystone pipeline, which we needed. He killed Keystone, so he killed, but think of it. And remember this about Russia. Under Bush, they took a lot. Under Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, has anyone ever heard of him, Barack Hussein, a lot of people say he's actually running the country right now. I don't think so. I don't think so. But some people say he's running our country. But I don't think it's Biden. Under Barack Hussein Obama, they took a lot, right? Under Biden, they're taking everything. They're taking everything. This is Russia. They're taking everything. I mean, Ukraine is destroyed. It's destroyed. You know, they could have made a deal. And you didn't even have to make a deal. Putin was never going in if I were president. But even if he did, you could have made a deal. Now the whole place is destroyed. The cities are knocked down. Millions of people are dead. Far more people are dead than anybody knows. Far more people. When you see those cities get knocked down and they say 2 people are injured, it's all a lot of fake news, I'll tell you. The people are dead, millions of people. And now the whole place has been, the cities have been knocked down, the whole place. They could have made a deal 3 years ago and everything would be happy, vibrant. Their heritage wouldn't have been broken. Those beautiful golden towers are taken down. All of those beautiful ancient towers are rubble on the ground now. I mean, any deal they make, what's the deal? They have to go back. They'll take 100 years to rebuild, and you can never rebuild it like it was. That should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president. And you know what? It didn't happen. And even radical left lunatic Democrats say, I will say, if Trump was president, it wouldn't have happened. Putin would have never done it. I said, don't do it, Vladimir. Don't even think. We're not going to do it, Vladimir. I said, Vladimir, we're not going to do that, Vladimir. And China, I had the same almost identical conversation with President Xi of China. Don't go in. Don't go in. He's got planes circling Taiwan. They're circling. He wants that so badly. And Vladimir wanted it badly. That was the apple of his eye. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't do it. He would have never gone in. Would have never happened. All these things would have never happened. But Ukraine now, I see Zelensky is here. I think Zelensky's the greatest salesman in history. Every time he comes into the country, he walks away with $60 billion. Billion! Walks in with $60 billion. He wants them to win this election so badly. But I would do differently. I will work out peace as president-elect. If I win this election, the first thing I'm going to do is call up Zelensky and call up President Putin, and I'm going to say, you got to make a deal. This is crazy. Crazy. They asked Biden, when was the last time you spoke to Putin? He didn't know. Of course he didn't know. What a stupid question. Of course he doesn't know. How would he know a thing like that? But it's been like years. And they keep bombing, cities pouring down, bombing. It's horrible, horrible. Actually, they're reduced now to using young boys and old men. Young boys and old men, because their people have been killed. So many of their people have been killed that they are using young boys to fight the war and old men. How about that? It's what a horrible thing has happened just because, and it's our fault because it's a war that should have never been allowed to happen, and we had the power that it would never have happened. We have an incompetent leader in Biden, and we have somebody who's worse in this new one that they threw into the ring. Central to Kamala's agenda for economic destruction is her plan to impose the largest individual tax hikes in American history onto our public, the largest small business tax hike in history, the largest capital gains tax hike in history. How about the capital gains tax, right? How about that one? And even the brand new wealth confiscation tax or unrealized capital gain. How about that? Unrealized. You know, I know a lot of people that are rich, but they have no cash. They're rich as hell, but what are they going to do? They have to pay cash to, Unrealized. In other words, you pay a capital gains tax even though you're not selling your property, your stock, or whatever it might be. I don't think it's ever even been done. It's been thought of by communist nations, but I don't think it's ever been done. You know, her father is a fascist. He's a Marxist, and he's a teacher of Marxist economics. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? Where have we come? Which will annihilate, if they do that unrealized capital gain, which I can't believe they can pull it off, but if they do it, it'll annihilate the stock market and wipe out the savings of millions of seniors and middle-class families. It'll wipe out our country. Our country will be driven in, I think anyway it'll happen. If, you know, a lot of people say the only reason the stock market's high is everyone thinks I'm going to win the election. I believe that's true. A lot of the biggest, smartest. Uncle Sam? Look, it's Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is here. Do you agree with that? Uncle Sam says, no, a lot of people agree. I think it's going to be horrible. We don't win for so many other reasons, too, but you'll have a depression like 1929. Kamala Harris is the tax queen, and she's coming for your money, she's coming for your pensions, and she's coming for your savings unless you defeat her in November and you want to take away your guns. Remember that. Always remember that. As president, I will keep Kamala's greedy hands out of your pockets, and we will deliver gigantic tax cuts. I gave you the largest tax cuts in history, and we are going to go further. That's what created the greatest economy. You know, when they say compare yourself now, but do something else. Compare costs now. Compare the cost of bacon with the cost of bacon 4 or 5 years ago. Compare the cost of just groceries. I mean, some of these things have gone up 4, 5, 6 times. Energy, interest rates. How about, I was at 2% interest rates. Now they're at 10%, but you can't get the money, so you got to keep going up. Okay, you're not at 10% if you can't get the money. We will have, I'm very proud of this, and then she copied me on one of them, only one. I'm waiting for the others. We will have no tax on tips. That was an easy one. We will have no tax on overtime. You work overtime. And for our seniors who have been decimated by the stupidity of inflation, these people, what they did to you on inflation, we will have no tax on Social Security benefits. No tax. You've been decimated. They took it all away. They took it all away from you. And for all the suburban households paying high property taxes here in Pennsylvania, I will restore the SALT deduction. Do you know what that is? SALT deduction. You will. To save you thousands of dollars. Maybe I shouldn't bother with, but that's a good one, but you guys don't know what the hell it is. That's a good one. People think of New York, but it actually affects you very much, too. I think I'll keep it off of Pennsylvania. You don't care. You didn't like that one so much, but it's actually pretty good. It's no wonder that Kamala Harris was just officially endorsed by IRS agents. Do you believe it? That's when you'd say, I'd rather not have that endorsement. But I've been endorsed by virtually every police group in the entire nation. Every police group. Almost every sheriff's group, every police group, every one of them. We just had one, the Fraternal Order. We just had 400,000 policemen. That's the biggest of all the unions, and they endorsed me. And this is the first time in decades, just got endorsed by the rank and file members of the Teamsters, which I happen to think is amazing. That was a surprise. That's automatic for the Democrats, and they, now the bosses didn't endorse me, but they had a problem because they got 30% of the vote. We got actually 60 or 61% of the vote. Can you believe it? So the people that were in the 61, the people that want us, they said, well, how come you didn't endorse them? Why do you, they're just going to take a pass. But maybe that's okay. That's all right. We know where they stand, and that's good. Kamala Harris is the candidate of the tax collectors and the Washington bureaucrats. I am the candidate of the American worker, and I always will be. I always will be. But perhaps Kamala's biggest tax hike of all is her vicious attack on Pennsylvania energy. You're under attack. If anybody here believes that she will let your energy industry continue like fracking, you should immediately go to a psychiatrist and have your head examined. On dozens of occasions, Kamala said that she intends to ban fracking. I'm going to ban it. I'm going to ban it. I think we have a clip. Would you like to see a clip? I spend a lot of money on these clips. Spend a lot of money on these clips.
That's why I am committed to passing a Green New Deal, creating clean jobs, and finally putting an end to fracking once and for all.
Mama Kamala just don't give a frack.
Isn't that great? He's not very funny. Can you? That guy. Those three guys, they're being blown away by Gutfeld. You know, Gutfeld, totally dominant. Those three guys. You remember that guy? When I first ran, it was like 2015, thinking about running. I was going to run. I went on his show, right? And he goes, The Tonight Show, which is dying. They're all dying. Where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny. It made you appreciate, right, Uncle Sam? It made you appreciate the greatness of Johnny Carson and these guys. These three guys, they're so bad, all three of them. All three of them. But this one, I go on his show, and he goes, is that your real hair? I said, yeah. He said, do you mind if I mess it up? I said, I'd prefer no. Do you remember this? I said, I'd prefer it if you didn't, to be honest, but if you have to. So he grabs it, and he starts really going crazy, right? And everybody laughed, and it was a big thing, and it was a big hit. It was all over the place, and he got great ratings and all. And 6 months later, he went out because he was under pressure to apologize because he humanized Donald Trump. Do you remember? And he stood up and he said, I'd like to apologize. 6 months ago, or whatever it was, I messed up Donald Trump's hair, and it humanized him, and he became president. And I would like to apologize. How weak and pathetic is a guy like that? And his show died, but the other two shows are dying. The one on ABC is dying. He was the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Remember I did that? Remember I wrote I put a truth. Everybody should go to Truth immediately. And by the way, we also love Elon, I have to tell you. Gave me a big endorsement. Big one. But remember in the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up, and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the prime time, the Best Picture. And it said, basically, he is the worst host in the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me, or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope. But all three of them are bad. The hatred. You know, it's supposed to be comedy. It's hatred. It's like terrible. But they're dying. And did anyone see the Gutfeld for last week? So, actually, I said it in the show, you know, so Gutfeld had the highest ratings in his history. And it was the #1 show of the week on all of television, not just on cable, on all of television. It beat all the network shows. But I told her the show, Gutfeld hated me for a long time, hated me. And then he started saying, you know, he didn't know me, but he hated me. People that know me like me. But he just couldn't stand me. And he was pretty strong on that. And then what happened is he started to say, you know, I don't like him, but he gets everything done. He rebuilt our military. We have no wars. He took out the worst terrorists in history. We don't have any problems. We didn't have one terror attack during my administration. With all the terror attacks all over the world, we didn't have countries fighting each other. They wouldn't have done it without my permission. They would call me up to ask whether or not they could go to war with some other country. And I said, you can't do that. And if you do that, I'm going to put big, big taxes all over your country. Okay, we won't do it. And they'd call me up the next day. We've decided not to go to the war. We had no wars. Israel was free. Ukraine was free. They weren't. The whole world. Viktor Orban, who's the prime minister of Hungary, he said, if you want to solve, because now everything's blowing up. The Middle East is going to end up in World War III. Ukraine's going to end up in World War III. So many different. We could end up in World War III with incompetent leadership. With smart leadership, it had never happened. But it's tougher now than it would have been 3-4 years ago. I mean, the whole place. And more importantly, no matter what you do, you can't get those cities back. You can't get that civilization back. And you can't get 3 or 4 million lives back. You can't do it. But Gutfeld said on the show, he said, you know, I don't love this guy, but man, everything he touches, he fixes, he gets it done. Our country was doing great. We had the best economy. And he asked for an interview, and I said, you know, I'll do it, but I'm begrudgingly, 10 minutes. I don't really want to do it because he doesn't like me. I guess I don't like anybody that doesn't like me, I'll be honest. When they don't like me, I don't like them, okay? Sounds childish. Look at the wall. Mr. Wall, stand up, please, Mr. Wall. When they don't like me, Lee, I don't like them. That's the way it is. Call it a personality defect. But we did an interview, and it was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it lasted for 2.5 hours. It just never stopped. There was a great chemistry. We actually liked each other. And he likes me. And he took that interview and he put it on 5 shows, and his ratings went through the roof. And he's held it. I mean, he's the hottest guy on late night and beyond late night, maybe in a lot of ways. But we love Sean Hannity, too, right? And we love Laura. And we love Jesse. And Janine. And Pete. We like Pete Hegseth. Ainsley's good. We have a lot of good people. And then we have some bad ones, too, including on Fox. You ever notice on Fox, they put me on, I do a great job, and then they follow me with a horrible commercial, you know. I say, what the hell is the good of me doing it if Roger Ailes never allowed bad commercials? What's the purpose of me doing a nice show and then they put 9 horrible commercials on, which are all lies? Or they put somebody on that's good, and then they always feel like they have to put somebody on who's bad. So the net result is a neutral. And you say, what are you doing it for? You can't do that. Fox should put just the good people on, the people that want to make America great again. They shouldn't put the guys that are professional scammers on. And they shouldn't allow bad commercials. Just a few months ago, Kamala imposed a natural gas export ban. Can you believe that? That is brutalizing Pennsylvania energy jobs. You know about it, right? And Kamala's Green New Deal insanity, I call it the Green New Scam, is shutting down power plants all across America. As a result, Pennsylvania electricity prices are up, despite all of the oil and gas and everything, are up 35% in a very short period of time, with all that stuff underneath your feet, in particular you. Since she took office, we are looking at another rise now of anywhere from 30 to 50% very quickly. And we have so much. We have so much. And you're hit about as hard as anybody. If you vote for me, I will cut your energy and electricity prices in half within 12 months. We're going to cut them down in half. I will terminate the natural gas export ban, which makes it impossible for you to sell your product to a lot of countries that want it desperately because they don't have what we have. We are so rich, we have the greatest, and we don't use it. It makes you really. We have all of this stuff more than anybody. We don't use it. I will get Pennsylvania energy workers pumping, fracking, drilling, and producing like never before. Right? And I don't know about how you feel. but I do, because this was the greatest company in the world 60 or 70 years ago. We are also going to keep U.S. steel right here in America. We have to be strong and powerful again, and we must put tariffs on foreign predators. They are predators, so that they don't destroy our steel industry. The people that like me the most of the steel, they were dead when I came into office. They were dead. And I put taxes on China. China was dumping massive amounts of steel to destroy our companies. I put a 50% tariff, then I raised it in some cases to 100%. And at a certain level, they said, no mas, we're not doing it. Remember, no mas, Roberto. We love Roberto Durando. And no mas, no mas. And they said no mas, and that was the end of it. And our steel companies were saved and thrived. And now we're losing our steel companies again because we have stupid people in the White House. We must keep our steel companies, and we must keep making steel more than any. If we have a war, are we going to call up, gee, China, could you send us some steel, please? Oh, I forgot about that. If we have a war, think of it. If we need it for our military, how do we build our tanks? How do we build our ships? We wouldn't have any steel. We have to make U.S. Steel great again. It doesn't have to be what it was. It was the greatest company in the world. Think of it. U.S. Steel was the greatest company in the whole world. That would be like whatever. You know, today our big companies are like Google and this and that. They're not the same. U.S. Steel is the strength. Google is all, give me a break. Not the same. Not the same. You see all the stuff that Google and Facebook and all what, they got caught cheating on the last election, the bad things they did, the 51 agents and all of the stuff, the laptop, remember it was Russia. It was Russia, Russia, Russia. No, it was Hunter, 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 as we said. And they affected, you know, they affected the election very much. It came out many, many points, 11 points, 12 points. But that's what we have. And we can never let that happen again. And I said, we're going to go after anybody that gets caught cheating on the election. We're going to go after them harder than anyone's ever been sought before. Because these people are really a threat. They are a threat to democracy. The Democrats are a threat to democracy. That's the real threat. Under my plan, America will be a manufacturing superpower once again. We will be the envy of the world, and we will build that incredible future right here in Pennsylvania. Boy, did I come close. I almost said, I better be careful, because, you know, if I even mention, they'll report it, because I don't want to be. Should I say it, Uncle Sam? I almost said the state of Pennsylvania, but I meant the Commonwealth. I never said the state. I was able to catch it because I'm cognitively very strong. Very strong. Very, very strong. I was able to catch it. Did you notice that? Right here, and I stopped for a second. I said Pennsylvania. I didn't want. Oh, that's a bad mistake. When you do the state of Pennsylvania, you get yourself, I've seen it. Well, the worst was Biden. He's in Florida, and he says, thank you for being so nice. I love Iowa. I've always loved. I said, remember, he was in New Hampshire, and he said he was in Maine. I never did that. You know, if you do that, it's career-threatening. As it turned out, it was career-threatening. But if you do that once, you know, Winston Churchill was this great speaker. Great. I get much bigger crowds than him, but nobody ever says I'm a great speaker. Winston Churchill was a great speaker. If he ever was in London and he said, I'm in Beirut, or because Biden is capable of that, he could go that far off. And, you know, he compared Florida to Iowa, and then he said it was Idaho, the greatest potato place in the world. He said with Iowa, remember, he said, I love the potatoes in Iowa. No, he meant, right? He didn't mean Iowa. I mean, the whole thing. But I said, you know, if you were Winston Churchill and you make a mistake as to location, like I'm here with you, and if I say, it's great to be in the great state of Illinois, could happen. No matter how great your speech is, you could make the greatest speech in history, and people will go, that was a disaster, right? He did it all the time, but she's worse than him. I'm telling you, watch. She's not as smart as him. He's not smart. He never was smart. He wasn't smart 40 years ago. Always, he was a hale and hearty guy, well met. Did you ever hear Shakespeare? He was hale and hearty and well met, but he wasn't a smart person. But she is a very dumb person, and we can't do that. We can't do that. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude. Another front in Kamala's war on workers is her gigantic migrant invasion. Over the past 3 years, border czar. Do you notice she said, I'm not a border czar? She was a border czar for 3.5 years. Now she's saying I had nothing to do. Whether she was the border czar or just the person in charge of the border, it's been the worst thing ever, maybe one of the worst things ever to happen to our country. Look at what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. Look at what's happened to that beautiful town. Look at what's happened to Aurora in Colorado, where you have a radical left Democrat governor who doesn't have a clue. He's so scared. The Venezuelans are attacking. They're in the real estate business. They're taking over real estate. They're in there like I was, but they take it over with guns. I took it over with the brain. They take it over with guns. But they're in, think of it, Aurora, and they have weapons that the military doesn't even have. AK-47s. I learned about AK-47s 3 weeks ago. That's not a nice. I'm getting very good at learning about weapons. I'm learning a lot about guns. Over the past 3 years, border czar Harris has inundated small towns all across America with hundreds of thousands of migrants. Not only has she invited them across our border, unfortunately, she's also illegally flown them in. Remember, she was making excuses? No, we haven't really had too many. And then we found out that they're flying in by big, beautiful jets. They're flying over the border. She's trying to say that the border was sort of secure. It wasn't secure. Although the greatest graph in the history of graphs, a thing that I love perhaps as much as any person I've ever met, is my wonderful graph on immigration and the lack of people coming. Do we have that graph? Can we put that graph up? This is my favorite graph. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that graph, Lee. David, I love it. Oh, isn't that a beautiful? I don't care what it says. I don't care if it said I did a lousy job. That's the most beautiful piece of paper I've ever seen. You see the arrow in the bottom? That was the week that I left office. See the arrow on the bottom, the big red arrow? That's the lowest level. This was done by the Border Patrol. This looks like a Trump special. It wasn't. That was done by the U.S. Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. ICE is phenomenal. That was done by the Border Patrol. That was the lowest level of immigration we've ever had in the country. And then these idiots, these stupid idiots took over, and look at what happened to our numbers. Look at what happened. Look at what happened to the numbers. But is that the most beautiful? I love the colors, the blue, the gold, the red. There's everything about it I love the stars. Because if I didn't look over to the right to see that beautiful graph, I said, put up that graph, please. If I didn't look over to the right, I wouldn't be here with you tonight, and that would be a very terrible thing. What a beautiful thing. Think of it, Uncle Sam. Immigration saved my life. Think of it. Immigration saved my life. No, it's great. Well, thank you. And thank you. I sleep with that pace. Every night I go to bed with it. Say, darling, it's time to go to bed. Let's go. What a beautiful sight. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Great job that you were able to get it so fast. I didn't think we were going to be using it. I didn't think I was going to use it in Butler. It was just, I always use it at the end. If I use it, I only use it. You would know, you go to every damn rally, right? He's at every rally. And he makes a lot of money. I think he's probably an accountant. He's a CPA. He's a genius. But he goes to every rally. But, right, I rarely use it. But when I use it, it's always on my left, and it's always at the end of the speech. This time I just thought of it. As you can see, I don't use the teleprompter too much. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't have to use a teleprompter? Isn't that nice? Right? It's really nice. Thank you very much. By the way, we had a rally in Lee's part of the woods out on Long Island, and that was unbelievable. We filled up where the Islanders play, and the Nets were playing. They used to play there.